Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News Today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, minority MP files petition demanding criminal probe of the Bank of Ghana governor and his deputies for allegedly inflating the cost for the construction of their new headquarters. We have details of that petition for you. Also this afternoon, there should not be closure on the corruption case involving former Minister of State Charles Addo with a flimsy excuse from the OSP. That's according to lawyer Martin Kpebu on the OSP's explanation that even though the former minister was found to be involved in influence peddling, his actions did not amount to a crime.
Peddling doesn't wash away or doesn't delete the corruption aspect.
We have details of the OSP's report on the investigation and some legal analysis on what has happened. Plus, the Electricity Company of Ghana says it cannot be blamed for last week's power outages. The minority suggests we could go back to darkness if government does not take steps to settle the country's huge energy debt.
If 20 million can plunge the whole nation into massive load shed with a deficit of 850 megawatts, that should tell you we have a major problem.
We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is @Nana Aisha. Please stay for details. The Special Prosecutor, Kesia Jabeng, has directed the closure of investigations into the conduct of former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Addo, for corruption and related offences. Charles Addo was caught on video demanding huge sums of money to introduce some businessmen to President Akufo-Addo and the Vice President, Dr. Baumia. But after months of investigation, the OSP has concluded that despite trading and influence peddling, the actions of Charles Addo did not amount to a crime. Head of our research desk, Raymond Aqua, has been breaking the report down for us.
OSP had the responsibility of perusing the report that was submitted by Tiger IPI, as also complained of by the president, so that they will get to determine whether any conduct at all of Mr. Addo had any relation at all with the mandate. And let's not forget this one. The OSP's mandate is primarily to deal with corruption and corruption-related offences.
True.
So whichever reference that has been made to it should sit within that particular space.
Yeah.
The OSP says, I did not only deal with Mr. Addo, all others that were named or named in connection with this report were equally called upon to come and provide some evidence after painstakingly going through the issues that have been raised and thoroughly dealing with the issues that have been raised. I called the individuals, I spoke to the other parties involved, and I realized that this was a sting operation by the investigative team, among other things, to determine whether the man indeed takes bribes or engages in the kind of corruption or corruption-related offense that we are talking about here. Then when I reviewed the data submitted by Tiger IPI and also engaged the people who are related to this matter, my conclusion was that the very responsibility I have as an institution, which is to find that the gentleman is involved or had done something that was involved in corruption or corruption-related offences, could not be upheld.
So what's the explanation by the OSP that no criminal offence has been conducted by Mr. Addo?
Brilliant. So what he did is that he said, though the conduct of Mr. Addo amounts to trading in influence or influence peddling, those keywords, trading in influence or influence peddling, which is closely associated with corruption. Again, as I stated earlier on, OSP's business is to investigate corruption and corruption-related offenses. But it says here, even though this is closely associated with corruption, there is no actual criminal prohibition of his acts, in respect of which the OSP has a mandate to further act. So that means what Mr. Addo did, at least according to the documents and the report from Tiger IPI and the one forwarded by the president, there is no criminal prohibition of what he has done. It is not a crime. It is not prohibited under any stated law.
Okay.
The very thing that he's referencing here, trading in influence and or influence peddling. So that is what the OSP said. Then they moved on to say that on the reckoning of that, the special prosecutor directs the closure of this at this time of this investigation in respect of the allegations of corruption and corruption-related offenses.
Okay,
that's still the allegation
and
involving Mr. Charles Addo contained, and that's the basis for which this is important. Contained in the investigative documentary titled Galamsey Economy, which was published by Anas's team.
And he concludes by saying that there is no criminal offense conducted by Mr. Addo, correct?
No, he says what he did is not prohibited by law. I hope you get my point. So currently, is the belief of the OSP that the laws of this republic do not make this an offense that I can pursue him on in relation to corruption and corruption-related offenses.
Well, constitutional lawyer Martin Kpebu says the matter cannot be brought to a closure because the allegations of corruption against the former minister has not been exhausted.
The matter of influence peddling doesn't wash away or doesn't delete the corruption aspect. The influence peddling side was, I will take you to see XYZ. That's he could arrange to see the vice president and then the president. And even in that context, he said they should pay what? $200,000 to be able to see the vice president, right? So when you say something is influence peddling, it doesn't mean that that same thing cannot amount to corruption. Because what we are talking about is that he received $40,000. That $40,000 was because of who he is as a Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, and that he was going to organize a meeting with the Vice President. And then apart from that, he had also negotiated a deal to receive 20% of the $500 million investment. So is that not, what do you call it? Private gain. So apart from the 40,000, let's explain this. When you say gain, the money must not necessarily, that's the rest of the 20%, the 20%. It must not necessarily hit Mr. Addo account before you say there is a crime. No. The moment you start discussing it, the two of them plan. When the two of them were planning conspiracy, yes, conspiracy, the two of them, that he would give, the sheikh says, I'll give you 20%. Then Addo says, no, sorry, the sheikh asks Addo, what does he want? And he says 20%. Yes, it's in that realm.
So now that the OSP has exonerated the former minister, should the matter be allowed to rest?
No. I don't think so at all. Far from it. And after the debate is just beginning. Today is what, Tuesday. I'm sure as we start pulling out the laws, look, let's have this conversation again 24 hours from now. Let's pull out the laws and read them out. As I said right now, I'm not in the mode in a position to access the laws. I'm getting fresh ones. Let's have this conversation tomorrow. Let's continue, bring in other minds. Let's do further analysis. You see that no, this docket should not be closed. I see corruption and see it clearly. It's not just influence peddling. Influence peddling doesn't end the matter. He has taken $40,000. By now, the first thing OSP should be doing is that Mr. Addo should be directed to return the $40,000 to the OSP before close of 72 hours. That's the first thing that he should be doing. How can Addo return the $40,000? Are we serious? Mr. Jabe should be asking Addo to return the $40,000 to OSP or bring it to OSP.
Well, Church Commissioner Joseph Whittal believes the passage of the Public Officers Conduct Bill will ensure corruption in the public space is curtailed.
Well, let me say that for about 10 years, the Commission has been sponsoring the Conduct of Public Officers Bill.
Yeah.
When we say there is no law, there is actually a bill that has been in and out of Parliament for some time that would administratively deal with the conduct of public officers in areas that are not necessarily criminalized. Now, the law doesn't mean that if it is not criminalized, it's no law. There are areas of the law that need administrative sanctions, which can be as biting and even more effective than criminalizing that aspect of the conduct of a public officer. And so this is the opportunity for us to remind government and all other stakeholders that, look, the issue of conduct of public officers in terms of the bill that is presently before Cabinet is a very critical issue if we are going to fight corruption from all angles comprehensively.
Right. So this bill, I'm guessing from your response that really that would have been the solution. If this bill had been passed into law by now, we could then have seen a prosecution for someone who, like you said, takes advantage of a public office to enrich themselves.
Not necessarily a prosecution. It can be an investigation that would lead to administrative sanctions. Under the bill, there is a provision clearly on trading in influence. And it's attended with a number of sanctions, including the removal as has happened in this particular case, among others. But don't forget, the Commission has also got a broad mandate in respect of corruption. So while the OSP may be limited because it has to deal with corruption and corruption-related provisions under the Criminal Offences Act, ours is broader. So we would not have stopped investigating this case because of a limited jurisdiction in corruption.
We can now go to Parliament, where NDC MP for Boko Central, Mahama Ayariga, is demanding that Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison and his 2 deputies are investigated for corruption and related offences for allegedly inflating the cost of the construction of a new headquarters for the central bank. Mahama Ayariga claims the governor has not been able to explain why the cost of the new head office escalated from $121 million to $222 million. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with the details. Kweku, you have cited a copy of this petition to the OSP. Does Mahama Ayariga provide any further evidence to back his claims?
Well, Aisha, Mahama Ayariga starts his petition by claiming that the Bank of Ghana originally intended to construct this Bank of Ghana head office at about $100 million. But by a little review in the costing and the valuation, another variation in the project, the Bank of Ghana suddenly says this project is expected to cost more than $220 million. And in fact, there are those who believe that this project will cost in excess of $250 million if it is finished, the construction is concluded. And the claim by Mahama Ayariga is that he believes the Bank of Ghana governor, his deputies, and in fact the Board of Governors may have undertaking some underhand dealings, which is leading to this cost variation to such astronomical levels. He does not agree that a Bank of Ghana head office to be constructed at $100 million could soon, within a year or two, be inflated, in his words, that is his allegation, to about $250 million. He believes that there are some corruption issues around that, and he believes that a special prosecutor is best placed to investigate this.
So he also tells the OSP he is ready to cooperate and provide further details to aid their work. Tell us more about this.
Yes, it appears Mahama Ayariga is saving the best of his evidence to present to the special prosecutor, because in that petition that he has submitted to the OSP, he says that he is ready to testify to all material issues that have come up around this construction of the Bank of Ghana headquarters. We know that Mr. Mahama Ayariga had written to the Bank of Ghana demanding some answers on all the construction issues. Dr. Addison wrote back to Mr. Mahama Ayariga, issuing a statement saying that because of certain national security considerations, he's unable to provide those details. Mahama Ayariga said all these points out.
All right, Kwekwa Sante is our correspondent. Kwekwa, go ahead.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that Mahama Ayariga says that the patterns that we have seen so far of the Bank of Ghana, and he alleges that the Bank of Ghana refusing to provide him information under the pretext of national security consideration, points out to a certain concerted effort to actually conceal the public information about the construction of the Bank of Ghana headquarters, which he believes has significant issues to be answered. He believes that the Bank of Ghana government, Dr. Addison, his deputies, the Board of Governors must all be investigated by the OSP because they may have done something untoward criminally in terms of the construction of the Bank of Ghana headquarters.
Right, so this is something we'll have our eyes on. Definitely there is more we'll bring to our viewers. But Parliament has just reconvened from a 3-month break. I mean, what's on the agenda for this meeting?
Well, Aisha, the mic talked about affirmative action bill is set to be presented. And if you look at the other paper, that presentation and first reading of bills is there. But also perhaps one of the big issues that we will be looking at is the representation of the people parliamentary constituencies amendment instrument. Our understanding is that the Electoral Commission is seeking to pass this new amendment to increase the seats in Parliament by at least 25. Currently, the seats in Parliament is 275 seats in Parliament. We understand that this is expected to go up significantly to close to 300 or at least 300. And that is what the representation of the people parliamentary constituencies amendment regulation is also expected to do. There's also the district electoral areas and designation of units amendment regulation. So by the close of the day, if the majority leader lays these papers before the House, we'll get more information in terms of how many seats the Electoral Commission intends to add to the August House of Parliament. Already, people have raised concerns that for a small country like Ghana, you do not need 275 constituencies. But the EC is seeking to add up to that because we know some new districts have been created. In particular, the Guan district has been created. It means that they need to be a Guan constituency, or what is popularly called the South constituency. And so in terms of the exact numbers, we do not know now. We are waiting for that paper to be laid. But what is clear is that the Electoral Commission is going to increase the seats in Parliament.
Kwekwa Sante is our parliamentary correspondent in Parliament. He'll be bringing us more in our subsequent bulletins. Now, ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, is worried the lights may go off again if government does not make efforts to pay our energy sector debts, including the IPPs who we owe so much. The Electricity Company of Ghana has been explaining it cannot accept blame for last Thursday's power cut in some parts of the country. On October 26, the Ghana Grid Company Limited, GRIDCO, in a statement explained the cause of the outage was due to limited gas supply to Tema, leading to a shortage of 550 megawatts at peak time. Mr. Jinapo says he senses danger if nothing is done about the situation.
WAPCO is the tip of the iceberg. WAPCO is not the problem. If 20 million can plunge the whole nation into massive load shed with a deficit of 850 megawatts, that should tell you we have a major problem. Look, as we speak, the World Bank LC has been overdrawn by $340 million. That becomes a debt for Ghana. Apart from that, the amount owed to ENI Vitol is $172 million. When you put the two together, you have a debt of $512 million. That is where the problem is. It's a value chain. You see, the energy sector ought to be looked at from a holistic point of view. When you pick just segments and try to address it, another problem would arise. You are looking at sustainability. Are we going to have this again? Let's even assume you've paid WAPCO all their money. Does that resolve the problem? The answer is no. Because the raw gas that you are consuming, you are building huge areas, over 500 million. So if you can't deal with 20 million, then how do you deal with 500 million?
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, which is responsible for the payment of services rendered by the West African Gas Pipeline Company, has absolved itself of blame for last Thursday's power supply challenges. Managing Director of ECG, Dubik Mahama, on PM Express also expressed disappointment over GNPC's handling of the matter, saying the press release was unnecessary.
Conversations concerning WAPCO and GNPC, this is not the first time ECG has had to step in and bail, GNPC out concerning WAPCO. Earlier on in the year, if you quite remember, the same time we were having these conversations with the IPP shutdown, the Friday that they gave us to the next day, when they didn't shut down, the next day WAPCO had taken the gas. ECG stepped in again and provided some good amount of money for WAPCO to, to turn back its operations. We managed it in such a way that nobody even felt it. Now, fast forward to this. I remember receiving letters from them concerning the payments, and you haven't given us what is due us under cash waterfall. Every single person or every single entity under cash waterfall complains about not getting enough. But if you clearly see, their bill is in USD. When cash waterfall is doing its denominations, it's in Ghana City. So GNPC, clearly, there's a plan for GNPC to make up whichever shortfall it is. Now, again, legally, ECG has no contract with WAPCO. So the CWM is a suggestive approach to making sure that GNPC gets something on a monthly basis, or even let's say on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Let's now take you to the Jubilee House, where Ghana's president is having that bilateral convo with the German Chancellor.
Over the compact with Africa. We had an opportunity in our meeting to discuss, apart from economic matters in Ghana, to discuss issues of migration, to discuss problems to do with the instability in parts of West Africa and the Sahelian region, the coup d'etats that have engulfed at least 4 of the states of West Africa, and shared very common views as to how we're looking at the future and how we can work together to restore democracy to these countries and strengthen democratic development in West Africa as a whole. We're looking forward to working together to promote the reform of the United Nations, especially of its Security Council. I think we have all seen in recent times that the Council, in many ways, is not fit for purpose in dealing with questions to do with international peace and security. The classic example is what is happening over the Ukraine conflict, where the nation that is the aggressor is also the veto-wielding country, and which is blocking any initiatives that the Security Council can take over the conflict. So clearly, there is a need for all of us to rethink how the future will be, as Ghana continues to be strong in a denunciation of Russia's aggression over Ukraine. But at the same time, we believe that greater and greater efforts should be made to see the possibility of a resolution of the conflict. It has important international implications for us, and we need to be able to make sure that as quickly as possible we come to peace. In the same way, we were very clear and vocal in our condemnation of the attack on Israel on the 7th of October by the Hamas organization, and recognize fully Israel's right to protect itself and defend itself. But at the same time, you look at the humanitarian consequences of what is going on over there. There's clearly a need for us, all of us, the international community, the global community, to look beyond the immediate issues of the consequences of the Hamas attacks on Israel, to be looking at the possibility of a comprehensive settlement of this matter. It's not possible for us to have a 10-year cycle of vengeance and vendettas in the Middle East, that unless a concerted effort is made by all of us to see how we can fashion an understanding based on the two-state solution. These are some of the matters that I've had the opportunity to talk to the Chancellor about, and we are finding ourselves in agreement about so many of the issues. And I want once again to thank you very much indeed for making the effort to come and visit with us, and I have no doubt that I'll see you again very soon in Berlin.
Mr. President, thank you for the warm welcome to Ghana. It is a pleasure for me to visit your country and to engage with you and your government in talks about subjects of common interests. It is my first time in Ghana, and I'm looking forward to experience the beauty and generosity of Ghana. And now I will continue in German. Meine Damen und Herren, ich freue mich sehr, hier zu sein. Das ist, wie ich schon gesagt habe, mein erster Besuch hier in Ghana. Es ist aber bereits das 7. Mal, dass wir uns treffen, Herr Präsident. Unsere letzte Begegnung liegt gerade einmal 6 Wochen zurück. Da haben wir uns in New York am Rande der UN-Generalversammlung gesprochen. Diese Fülle an Gesprächen unterstreicht die Vielfalt unserer herausragenden und engen Beziehungen. Ghana und Deutschland sind Partner in vielen Bereichen. Wie so oft ist es vor allem der Austausch zwischen unseren Bürgern und Bürgern, der unsere Beziehungen so lebendig macht. In meiner Heimatstadt Hamburg gibt es beispielsweise eine große ghanaische Community, und ich habe mir sagen lassen, dass man in Altona fast so
Altona in Hamburg is almost as good as the fufu in Ozu. Many Ghanaians live in Germany, and Ghana is a close partner for us on the issue of migration. Reduce irregular migration. For that to work, of course, we also have to make sure that those people who are not entitled to reside in Germany can return to their home country. We see a great potential for skilled labour and talents from Ghana who would want to come to Germany to work there. And of course, we also want to increase the number of language courses here in Ghana.
Those were excerpts of the meeting of Olaf Scholz, German Chancellor, with Ghana's president. They've been speaking about some possible collaborations the two countries can have to deepen our bilateral relationship and also improve on economic conditions as a country. There's more we'll be bringing you from the presidency. in our subsequent bulletins. But information reaching Joy News indicates that there's been a violent disturbance leading to death of one person at Nkwanta in the Oti region. We understand the police has arrested 7 persons in connection with the disturbance. According to reports, 2 others clashed with an opposing faction during a traditional festival in Nkwanta. 5 other persons sustained gunshot wounds with a number of houses set ablaze. The suspects are currently in police custody assisting the investigation, while efforts are underway to get other suspects arrested to face justice. Calm has since been restored in the Nkwanta area. Well, joining us for more on this is the Oti Regional Minister, Joshua Makabo. I'm grateful for your time, sir. Are you aware or has this come to your notice? And can you confirm the arrests by the police?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, the issue has come to my attention. The Municipal Security Council met on the issue, and then after they had communicated to the Regional Security Council that conveyed last week, Wednesday. We met all the contending factions that were the actually who are celebrating the Yam Festival, then the Adele group, then the Chala on the other side. We also interacted with some religious leaders, after which we debated it. It was a joint meeting with the Regional Security Council and the Municipal Security Council. And then we had advised that looking at the tensions that were mounting up in town and then the security situation, it was not conducive for the festival to come on. And for that matter, we're advising that actually to hold on with the festival. Yes, as of Saturday, where there were reported incidents of clashes between the on one side, Nadele and Chala, the police had intervened, but said there was a need to call on the military to also come in. We established the necessary protocols quickly, and then they also joined later in the evening of Saturday. And as you rightly said, yes, the police have confirmed to me that one body had been confirmed dead. Other people had suffered some injuries and they were in the hospital, so receiving treatment. Some houses were pulled down, and then some shops were also burned. However, the situation as at this morning is a much improvement over the situation on Saturday. So we say that some level of calm has returned to the area.
I'm grateful for your time, sir. Joshua Makabo is the member of, he's a regional minister for the Oti region. Also updates from the Garu district. Military have detained 8 persons from Garu and Timpani in the Upper East region after allegedly subjecting many of them to physical assaults of an alleged attack on their men on Sunday. The Garu DCE Osman Musa and Timpani DCE Isaka Ambede say the 8 were selected out of 16 suspects after a screening and later airlifted out of the area for further interrogation by the military unit. This is after the National Security released a statement explaining their actions. The Upper East Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, has been to the community to assess the situation. Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori has been updating us on the situation.
Yes, so the Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, was in Garu yesterday afternoon. He basically wanted to get first-hand information on the incident, also see the victims, those who sustained injuries and were in hospital, and even those who were discharged. He was also meeting with chiefs of the communities where people were beaten, and so basically, he went there to give them assurances that what happened would not happen again, because what he said was that they understood that many of the young men and even the older men in the community were staying away from their homes for fears that the soldiers could return, and so he basically told them that the soldiers were not going to return and attack them, and so they should come back to their homes. He also promised that those of them who were in hospital would be given some money to support their medical bills. And so these were basically the things that he wanted to do. He said that for those who had been arrested, he couldn't, just tell them that they were going to be released, but he was sure that once investigations were concluded on the reasons for their arrest, they would definitely return home.
And how have residents been responding to this?
Yeah, so for many of the residents, even when the regional minister were there, they were still very angry about the incident. Remember, Garu is one of those communities or those areas where you rarely hear any sort of bad news. And something like this is very new to many of the residents who were angry about it. And so, for instance, there was a patient who sustained a head injury and a chest injury at the same time and had to be transferred from the Garu Presby Hospital to the Tamale Teaching Hospital yesterday morning for further medical treatment. This is a patient who was not charged with any crime or even arrested. And for him to sustain those injuries for no reason was a source of anger for his family and even the residents of the.
We're still live on Joy News today. When we return, there is business.
Hello and welcome to the business segment with me, Emma Davis. Entrepreneurship and private enterprises remain vital in expanding local economies, but many who venture the path fail to realize the needed financial support. To bridge the knowledge gap, the Youth Empowerment Center of SOS Children's Village is investing resources to keep small enterprises afloat. Nana Yaujima engaged a beneficiary and filed this report.
Susanna Wezani, after completing senior high school, relocated to the Ashanti region for a better life. Fortunately for her, she was enrolled into fashion designing, hoping to become a top one in her community. But after the year's training, the journey has not been as smooth as expected.
It was not going well. The way I brand my business and the way I receive my customers, it was making my work difficult.
Susanna is just one of many dressmakers who are struggling to keep a balance in their finances. Through soft skills training, she is imparted with knowledge of the best business practices. And research by the Youth Empowerment Center of the SOS Children's Village has shown customer service and quality of job done are some key factors militating against the growth of the fashion industry. Roberta Aite is project coordinator for the hub.
So she had been able to start her business, but when it comes to registering her business, which system she needs to put in place to ensure that her business becomes sustainable, or something that she didn't know much about. All of them, most of them, she in particular had the aim of training other people. But if she doesn't get the training she needs to sustain the business today, how does the business live long enough to benefit other young people? So in as much as we were looking for people who had no idea what to do, there is the need to also support those who have started something little so that they can expand the businesses and really keep the businesses growing.
To improve the service provided by the startup, Susanna is receiving further training with sponsorship from the Youth Empowerment Center. Even before the training comes to an end, Susanna is witnessing an improvement, especially in her new designs.
But when I go there, I was able to upgrade my skills. The way I brand my business and the way I receive my customers, it was making my work difficult. But through MBU, I now know how to take care of my customers. And even the arrangement of my shop, the way I arrange it, it's really nice and it attracts customers too.
The dream to become a leader in the fashion industry and impact lives of the youth in her community looks bright. For Joy Business, Nana Yaujima, Kumasi.
The high attrition rate of salaried workers, especially public sector employees, is negatively affecting the rural banking sector as customers leaving jobs default in loan repayment. Chief Executive Officer of Amansia Rural Bank PLC, Frederick Kwachiche, has revealed employees migrating from Ghana often leave without repaying their loans. He is therefore encouraging reassessment of strategies to improve the situation. Clinton Yaboa has more in this report.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GRNMA, has revealed that about 4,000 members were cleared to work outside the country. Similarly, over 10,000 teachers have relocated to Europe, according to the Registrar of the National Teaching Council. Chief Executive Officer of Amansia Rural Bank PLC, Frederick Kwachiche, said the trend has adverse impact on clients' loan portfolio. He was speaking at the 38th annual general meeting of the bank at Antwerp.
Even 3 days ago, we had the president of Nurses Association of Ghana advising the government to regularize their migration. So certainly, those who were our customers and might have migrated would definitely have left out some loans, which are likely to go default. There was some kind of default from the salary earners because of the migration. So the bank is reassessing its strategy so that we can move to commercial and microfinancing, so that we can increase commerce and then other businesses. For the salary earners, yes, those who are likely to stay, we will also extend credits to them. But now that the microeconomic situation is not too good, we are very careful extending credits to the salary earners because of their potential migration from Ghana. But we are in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana and other state institutions to arrest the situation.
That's all for Business with me, Emma Davis. Up next is sports.
Good afternoon. Let's do sports now. On Join News today with me, Muftaw Nabila Abla. Later today, Ghana will come up against Benin in the second round of the Paris Olympics 2024 qualifiers. Ghana leads the first leg 3-0. However, head coach of the team, Nora Hoftor, insists that she and her girls are not going to be complacent ahead of that tie, which is going to happen at the Accra Sports Stadium later today. My colleague Lawrence Bedu was at the team's final training session at the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday and comes through with this report.
The Black Queens are one step away from booking a place in the third round of qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games to be staged in Paris. The Black Queens command a 3-0 first leg advantage, having beaten Benin in Cotonou. The Black Queens held their final training session at the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday, with 22 players completing the session. Priscilla Adubia seems to be the only player out after nursing an injury.
They always for results. We are in a qualification, and it's a second leg, and so of course we will drive to win this game. It's the second round of the Olympic qualifiers, and it's our objective to pass through to the third round in February. So we take this game with the full seriousness, focus, and we analyzed very well the game, the first game. So we also set our training tactic-wise to find again a bit better solutions, and yes, we will show the answer tomorrow on the pitch.
Despite 3-goal deficit, Benin are confident of ending the Black Queens' unbeaten record in Accra.
Okay, so yes, of course, football is played in 90 minutes. Like I said, we lost in Benin, we can still win here because the game is going to be played 11 versus 11. Yes, we respect Ghana so much. Ghana is a big country. Ghana is a big football nation. With all due respect for Ghana, but anything can happen tomorrow, and no team is unbeaten. Yes, of course, Ghana is having 8 matches unbeaten, but the match of tomorrow will decide.
Advancing to the next stage of the qualifiers will mean the Black Queens will face one of Africa's heavyweights in Zambia. However, before the third round fixture will be an African Cup of Nations qualifier against Namibia next month. The Black Queens are yet to lose a game under Nora Hoptel since taking over in January. Reporting for Joy Sports from the Accra Sports Stadium, Lawrence Beidou.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. The news continues with Aisha Ibrahim.
And as I drop the curtains this afternoon on Joy News Today, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. You will see Bawumia was unaware of Eduboahen's reckless deal. That's OSP. There is more when you log on. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. To enjoy the rest of our programs.